Elizabeth II was the longest reigning monarch in British history, serving as Queen from February 6, 1952, until her passing on September 8, 2022. Born on April 21, 1926, as Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, she was the eldest daughter of the Duke and Duchess of York, later King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. At the time of her birth, she was not expected to inherit the throne, as her father was the second son of King George V. However, the unexpected abdication of her uncle, King Edward VIII, in 1936 dramatically altered the course of her life. Her father ascended the throne as George VI, and Elizabeth became the heir presumptive at just 10 years old. Raised with a strong sense of duty, she received a private education focused on history, law, and constitutional matters, preparing her for her future role. During World War II, despite her privileged status, she contributed to the war effort by joining the Auxiliary Territorial Service in 1945, training as a mechanic and driver, the first female member of the royal family to serve in the armed forces. Her sense of responsibility in connection to the people was evident from an early age, most famously in her 1940 radio broadcast, in which she reassured the children of Britain during the Blitz. In 1947, she married Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, a former prince of Greece and Denmark who had served with distinction in the Royal Navy during the war. Their marriage was a strong partnership, lasting 73 years until Philip's death in 2021. Together, they had 4 children: Charles, who would later become King Charles III, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. Her reign began unexpectedly when her father died in 1952 while she and Philip were on a royal tour in Kenya. At just 25 years old, she assumed the throne, pledging in her coronation speech to devote her life to the service of her people. Her coronation in 1953 was a landmark event, the first to be televised, bringing the monarchy closer to the public than ever before. Elizabeth's reign was marked by enormous social, political, and technological change. One of her earliest challenges was overseeing the transition of the British Empire into the modern Commonwealth, as many former colonies gained independence in the mid-20th century. She played a key diplomatic role in maintaining strong relationships between Britain and the newly independent nations, ensuring the Commonwealth remained a vital institution. Her travels were extensive. She was the most widely traveled monarch in history, visiting over 100 countries and strengthening diplomatic ties worldwide. She met countless world leaders, from Winston Churchill, who was her first prime minister, to John F. Kennedy, Nelson Mandela, and Pope John Paul II. Over the course of her reign, she worked with 15 British prime ministers, from Churchill to Liz Truss, and navigated significant constitutional changes, including the decentralisation of power in the United Kingdom with the establishment of separate parliaments for Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Despite her personal dedication to duty, the monarchy faced many challenges, particularly in the later decades of her reign. The 1990s proved to be one of the most difficult periods for the royal family, as the divorces of 3 of her children, particularly the turbulent marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, sparked intense public scrutiny. The tragic death of Diana in 1997 led to a period of deep crisis for the monarchy, as the Queen was initially criticized for her reserved response, though she later addressed the nation in an unprecedented live broadcast, acknowledging the public's grief. She adapted to changing times, modernizing royal traditions and becoming more open to media and public engagement. The rise of the internet and social media further transformed the monarchy's relationship with the public, with the Queen making efforts to connect with younger generations. Her later years saw a renewed appreciation for her steadfast leadership. Her Diamond Jubilee in 2012, celebrating 60 years on the throne, was met with widespread celebrations, as was her Platinum Jubilee in 2022, marking 70 years of service, an achievement unmatched in British history. Despite her advancing age, she remained committed to her duties, continuing to carry out public engagements even in her 90s. Her final public act was appointing Liz Truss as Prime Minister in September 2022, just 2 days before her passing at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Her death marked the end of an era, as she had been a constant presence in the lives of her people for over 7 decades. She was succeeded by her eldest son, who became King Charles III. Elizabeth II's legacy is one of stability, devotion, and adaptability. She was not only a symbol of continuity in an ever-changing world but also a figure of deep personal dedication to her country and the Commonwealth. Her reign saw the transformation of Britain from an imperial power to a modern, multicultural society, and she navigated these changes with grace and a firm sense of duty. Through wars, political upheavals, and personal trials, she remained a respected and beloved figure, embodying the values of service and resilience until the very end.